This is probably the most difficult chapter to digest because it deals with the fusion of their personal, professional, and artistic growth. It's almost scary to try and interpret the mindset of artists as great as BTS. BTS probably knows this just as well. Their decision to open the chapter with Jimin and V's dumpling story is very telling. The dumpling incident, by their own definition, is a small conflict between two members that resulted in an even stronger bond between Jimin and V. That seems to be the theme of this chapter in their life, a period made up of seemingly isolated incidences. But if you pull back, you're going to actually see a different pattern, a different picture. These incidents are connected, and getting through each one only serves to make their bond stronger. And just like BTS, ARMY was also going through the same thing. There were different things happening at the same time, things that we did not expect or plan. There were different efforts across the globe, not necessarily coordinated, but they all ended up being connected that helps strengthen the bond of armies with each other and the bond of army with BTS. Hi, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I would really appreciate it. And of course, share the video if you can. If you're already sharing it, please continue doing it. If you haven't already, please start. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so as always, I will try to share my experience as a 2013 ARMY, and also I will share how I try to make sense of BTS's professional and artistic growth as they told it in chapter 4. Now, just note that whatever I experience, that may not necessarily be the same experience of other armies. I do have a limited circle, offline and online, and also most of the people that I interacted with online, I'm not really sure who they were or are. So it was like, okay, you say that you're this person, okay, I'll just trust you. Also, most of us, including me, I actually used a different handle, so we don't know each other personally. Okay, let's go to the video. We missed the mark, but hit a bigger one. As BTS started selling more albums, US Army knew one thing. BTS needed some mainstream media attention and radio spins in the US. The problem was that BTS had no US representation for much of their career. When they forged a distribution deal with Columbia, the US music giant barely paid them any attention until the last couple of years of their contract. ARMY had to do it. First is PR. We need to get those reporters and media companies to write about BTS. A reasonably priced PR company with basic services would cost anyone between $5,000 to $7,000 a month. ARMY didn't have that money. We resorted to guerrilla marketing. ARMY started tweeting and leaving comments to all celebrities, social media accounts of reporters, sending letters to editors, and creating different contents in an attempt to spread the word about BTS. ARMY was everywhere. That other fandoms actually started calling us out as desperate, that we were begging for attention and desperate for Western validation. 3 of the earliest celebrities that actually responded to ARMYs were Halsey, Steve Aoki, and Charlie Puth. The admiration and respect that they developed for BTS and for ARMY seemed genuine enough for them to continue their friendship with BTS to this day. Once other celebrities saw the social media boost ARMY gives those who support BTS, it became a little easier to get their attention. Next is radio spins. The most effective way to get radio spins was to actually forge a relationship with radio program directors. The problem was that we didn't know how to get to them. So we had no choice but to actually go directly to radio DJs. We started calling radio DJs to request for BTS songs every damn day. US Army was an unstoppable force. We would email, call, DM, beg, pray. And guess what happened? Nothing. US Army's tenacity was met with US radio DJs' indifference. Absolutely no one paid attention. But ARMY takes after BTS. Just like BTS, the more we fail, the harder we try. We started sending DJs videos of BTS and other information. We just kept on doing it. Unfortunately, I don't remember who was the very first army who actually reached out to a DJ. It was too long ago, and I also didn't do a good job at documenting everything. I mean, I'm not a very nostalgic person. I don't even keep tabs of my own works, like the works that I do that have been published. But I remember it was 2016 when I first saw a post of an army saying that they requested the song on their local radio station, and they actually played it, and the whole fandom was ecstatic. It sort of recharged us, that it made us realize, okay, maybe not everything that we're doing is not in vain, so we just had to continue doing it.
But it wasn't until 2017 when a radio DJ posted a pic of a bouquet of flowers and the cake sent to him by an army. Someone called Namjoon Nuna allegedly sent it. I don't know if she was the very first one to ever do this, but she was the first one acknowledged by a DJ that I saw. Since then, more and more armies followed suit. Now, we started calling radio stations circa 2015. 2 years of pursuit and one radio spin doesn't a success make. Any marketer would actually tell you that. But we are armies. We knew what we were up against. US radio stations play English songs produced by US companies they have a relationship with, quote unquote. One radio spin and an expression of gratitude from a DJ was one victory, and we were willing to work doubly hard just to get two more. Now here's the thing. Radio DJs never actually fully accepted BTS, and in that regard, you could say our efforts failed. But it accomplished some things that are more important. It forced the US music industry and Western media to notice BTS. It also started some sort of an unofficial workflow among armies. Whenever a DJ plays their song or a celebrity supports them, they get acknowledged, they get social media support, and we return the favor whenever we can. Eventually, other armies from other parts of the world started doing the same thing in their own country. Other countries also started donating to US armies so that we can buy better gifts and create better materials that we can send out to journalists. The beauty of their literature. Wings was an intellectual and artistic glow-up, absolutely unprecedented in K-pop and a rarity in the global music industry. K-pop songs prior to BTS touched on a very limited set of subjects: teen love, partying, and how beautiful or cool they are as a group or as individuals. BTS is the first K-pop group to come out with an album that is constructed around abstract concepts, classic literature, and allegorical type of symbolism. It is so complex that the only way for people to fully appreciate it is to research vastly and analyze intently. It was an absolute shock to K-pop for a music video to open with a narration of a classic novel, and an absolute shock to the world of classic literature. Damien sold out in different bookstores, and the publisher publicly thanked BTS and the ARMY for their support. The success of Wings inspired many other groups to follow suit, creating their own narratives and/or by using classic literature or classic music as an inspiration. However, no one has been as successful as BTS. Why? Well, your guess is as good as mine. And mine is that sincerity is what really made it for them. While many other groups are trying to elevate their music to the level of BTS because they saw how well it worked for BTS, BTS actually elevated their music because it was the natural next step in their evolution towards creative excellence. The symbolism and literary concepts were the only ways they could express the mess in their minds. They did it because it was the natural thing to do, not because they were following a trend or trying to get more money. Polysemy. Wings was not just a level up, it was actually a new universe altogether. One that seems to have no absolute truths. Everything was polysemy. While the presentation was very sexy, meaning was emotionally violent. And just as what the book revealed, it was actually a mirror of the group's emotional state at that time. Blood, Sweat, and Tears lyrics is all about submitting to temptation, but does not make clear what kind of temptation it was. The performance alludes to sexual temptation, but the music video seems to dwell on all sorts of evil. But listening to the whole album forcibly kicks you into the journey of personal maturity, the process of struggling to hold on to the innocence of youth in exchange of learning the tricks of survival. And yet, the lyrics are conceptual in every song. It's a huge risk because it can greatly alienate people who prefer the music to be an escape from reality, not a painful indulgence. BTS, however, seems to be hell-bent on treating their audience the way they do themselves. That leads me to my next point. Elevating their audience. BTS elevated themselves and elevated ARMY above other fandoms. The book said that K-pop actually saw BTS as a villain, and I agree. When BTS released Wings, they didn't ask for consent from anyone to treat their audience with utmost respect. They just assumed that ARMY and the rest of their audience will be smart enough to, at the very least, join discussions and research on what their songs, music videos, and album actually mean. Using a story like Damien means that they are assuming people, ARMY and non-ARMYs alike, would be open to, at the very least, accepting, if not understanding, such an abstract novel. To be more blunt, you need to make your brains work a ton to actually understand Damien. And that means you need to make your brains work a ton to actually understand Wings. You have to be intellectually open and emotionally ready to accept the existence of a double entendre in a genre like K-pop. This is the very first time a song and an album presented such a complex narrative. So two things must be noted here. In writing all the songs of Wings, BTS counted on their fans' intellect first and emotion second. And that is a big ask. It was them parking corner and blasting, "Our fans are intelligent and smart, and this is the kind of art that they deserve and will appreciate." Now that is an artist respecting their fans. Now on to their individual songs. Jungkook is the best of his Youngs. It's eerie how their individual songs so accurately depicts where they were in their life at that time. And no one more than Jungkook. Jungkook doesn't stop gushing over his 6 brothers. The whole fandom knows that by now. But it wasn't always like that. Jungkook doesn't seem to be the sentimental type. Early Bangtan Bomb videos showed him being a typical maknae. He likes playing around with his boundless energy. So when BTS revealed the very first time they saw Jungkook seriously cry was when Jungkook saw them cry, Begin, Jungkook's very first solo song, made more sense. It was his songs to his 6 older brothers, who, in his own terms, raised him in a way. He sees the best of his brothers in him. But there is also an important subtext that many miss. While the song is an homage to his bandmates, it's also him claiming his own identity. He said it loud and clear in the title. Begin. He begins. His bandmates may have helped him figure out who he is, but it doesn't mean he is dependent on them. The same way we get influenced by the people we spend the most time with, our parents or family members, Jungkook was influenced by his bandmates the most. But he is his own self. V's classic influence. It seems that V artistically starts outside and works his way in. I know that's vague. But V seems to be the kind of artist that gets attracted to what's above ground. The sound, the look, the image. That's where he gets the inspiration, and then he works his way into creating something from that. When he played his character in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, he explained that to jazz up the character, he added some ambiguity in his portrayal. Instead of just surrendering to the evil in the character, he chose to see his character as someone who was forced to be evil. He used the same approach in Stigma, his solo song in Wings. He already liked the lyrics, the melody, and the beat, but he wanted to put a highlight, which inspired him to hit the falsetto. Jimin respects the part of himself he doesn't like. Who would have thought that so much complexity is actually cramped in that lean body of our mochi? Lai was Jimin's story, a story he doesn't like as it covers a stage in his life he has grown out of. But he acknowledges that the only way he can confront, accept, and move on from it is by acknowledging and respecting it. That's how he knows the song Lai is inevitable. He had to confront, respect, and honor that part of his past if he has any chance of moving on. This song also sets Jimin's approach in creating his art. Jimin always turns to his greatest ally and his greatest enemy in his songs, himself. From Lie to Promise to Set Himself Free to Like Crazy, his songs are actually a battle against himself. Rarely is it about his angst about other people. He's very introspective. He pulls from his own power, not from anyone else's. Unlike other people, who gives other people too much power over themselves, Jimin is not that kind of a person. For him, only he can put himself down, and only he can bring himself up. For Jin, choosing the okay part of me is better than choosing the best part of others. Many armies know Jin as the goofy Young who takes things easy and tries to live simply. But instances like this shows how big his pair is and just how important the authenticity of his art is. It was important for him that ARMY hears him, even if it isn't the best. The real him is way better than what is the best of other people. But it was the best. Jin, among all BTS members, is the only one who was neither a singer nor a dancer when he started out. He had to work twice or thrice as hard just to be able to perform with his band. Him writing this song wasn't just a leap. He vaulted over 1,000 mountains, blindfolded, and stuck that landing perfect. It was a goddamn 10. And thank God he had the balls to fight for what he knew was right. Suga's anthropomorphism. Suga is one of the best songwriters of all time, across all genres, across any language, culture, generation, or country. His use of anthropomorphism is unparalleled. He has the ability to humanize just about anything around him. That makes the most abstract of concepts so relatable. First love was really the inevitable evolution of our humanity that naturally untangles us from the things we value, things that we thought are necessary for our existence, things that help us become who we are today. For him, it was a piano, but his poetry made it so we can relate to it in ways that are more personal. It could be falling out of love from a romantic partner, from a promise to stay, from a job that helped us to get through the tough time, from family members, or from a life that we built. He just forced us to confront that part of our life, the parts that we had to leave behind, no matter how unfair for the other person or that situation, or no matter how painful it is for us. RM's metaphor to reality. RM swings from metaphor to reality and then back again as naturally as the highs and lows of our breathing. He uses that in full force in reflection, to a point that it's actually sometimes so hard to determine where his reality ends and the metaphors begin.
Okay, for J-Hope, his song is the one that sort of made the most sense to me. Not really predictable, but it just made sense to me. I kind of knew that this is the kind of song that fit him. In the latter part of the book, a little spoiler if you haven't gotten to that point, Bang Shio actually had a conversation with J-Hope and Bang Cheuk told J-Hope that you are the literal hope of the group. Like, they actually look at you when it comes to hope. So if you sort of crash, then you take everybody else with you. And this was a pivotal moment for him as a songwriter, because of course, he's been heavily involved in the production and the writing and the composition of the other songs, but this is the very first one where he had full control over his own song, and it was really truly his own voice. Other songs of BTS have been dark, heavy, but this is the first one that was almost theatrical in sound, and I felt like that is it. This is probably, if I, from an outsider, I don't know, of course, I don't know him personally, but from an outsider, it felt like this was the first step towards his discovery, as the discovery of who he was as a songwriter and as a producer and as an artist, basically. The last point is, I think we just need to appreciate how they were able to weave in their individual authentic stories into one cohesive narrative. And this happens a lot to, like, TV series where you're thrown in a curveball, like a major cast member leaves, or you're forced to put in a new character and it's not a part of the original storyline. So what you have to do is find ways on how to actually make it a part of the story so that you produce one better, cohesive, if not a better narrative. That's what they were able to do, because the promise was that they were going to remain authentic and true to their own story, which they did. Each of the songs that they actually sang was about their own story. But for all of that to make sense, you need to create that narrative in Wings so that all of your individual stories, although very, very authentic to you, also forms one complete cohesive story. And they were able to do that with Wings. That's not easy to do, and that has never been done in K-pop, and very, very rarely done in the global music industry. This is nothing short of a genius. This was a major turning point for BTS and a major turning point for the global music industry. They really introduced the brains. That was just, not something that you would expect. Okay, I have a lot more stories from a 2013 ARMY, but I'm trying to just manage the time, the length of each video. I don't want to bore you, so I'll probably just create, we have 3 more. So I'll probably share a little bit more, and then if I have more to share, then I'll just create a separate video about 2013 ARMY stories, 2013-2014 ARMY stories. Okay, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please leave them in the comment section below. If you don't like BTS, if you don't like the book, that is fine. You can still share your opinion. Just please do so respectfully. Okay, you can get in touch with me in any of the social media links that you see on your screen right now. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button and share the video. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. Till next time.